I invited 68 people to my wedding. Every single one of them said no. My own mother erased my entire family with one phone call. They called the man I loved just an electrician. Like his hands made him less of a man. Like love had to come with a degree. But they didn't know that the real story was only beginning at the altar. I sent out 68 wedding invitations. I didn't print them. I didn't rush them. I wrote every single name by hand. Carefully. Slowly. Like I was building a future with ink. Then I sealed each envelope with a gold sticker. One by one. My hands were shaking, but my heart was full. For the first time, I believed they might finally show up. That maybe a love would matter more than judgment. 3 weeks later, everything collapsed. My mother responded first. One word. No. Not just for herself, but for everyone. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone who had watched me grow up. Gone. 68 invitations erased by a single decision made over a phone call. Like I was never part of the family at all. My father called me the next evening. I remember standing in the kitchen stirring pasta I never even ate. His name flashed on my screen. For a second, I hoped. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he would finally see Marcus the way I did. I picked up. But his voice didn't soften. It cut. We won't walk you down the aisle to that electrician. Not Marcus's name. Not my fiancé. Just that electrician. Like the man I loved for 4 years was nothing more than a job title. Like working with his hands made him less human. Marcus woke up at 5 a.m. every day. Came home exhausted, hands rough, eyes tired. But still, always still, he asked about my day first. He never missed a bill. Never raised his voice. He saved for our future like it was the only thing that mattered. But to my family, none of that existed. Because he didn't wear a suit. Because he didn't have a degree on a wall. Because he worked with his hands instead of a desk. And in their eyes, that made him beneath us. I begged my mother to reconsider. For calls in 2 weeks. One handwritten letter where I poured everything onto paper. What Marcus meant to me. What our life looked like. What I was afraid of losing. She never replied. Only once she called briefly. Her voice was calm, almost final. You're making a mistake, Brandy. When you realize it, we'll be here. Then she hung up. No argument. No discussion. Just silence, like I had already been removed from her life. The morning of my wedding. I woke up alone in a hotel room. My bridesmaids helped me get ready. They tried to smile. Tried to fill the space. But there is a silence no makeup can cover. A silence where your mother should have been standing. I kept looking at the door, waiting, hoping. No one came. And when I finally walked toward that aisle, 200 people turned to look at me. I held my bouquet so tight my knuckles went white. Because I needed something to hold onto before I broke. Halfway down the aisle, about 40 feet from Marcus, a door at the back of the venue opened. Every head turned. The room went still. I stopped walking. A woman stepped inside. Blue dress. Silver hair. Calm eyes. Older, maybe in her 60s. I had never seen her before. Not once. She walked slowly down the aisle, like time itself was following her. And then everything changed. Marcus dropped to his knees. Not dramatically. Not for attention. But like something inside him had finally collapsed. His hands covered his mouth. His shoulders shook. I whispered, Marcus, who is that? He looked at me, tears running down his face, and said something that froze my entire world. That's my... He swallowed hard. That's my mother. I had heard about her exactly twice in 4 years. A woman who left when he was 9. A silence he never fully explained. A wound I never pushed open. Because some pain you wait for permission to understand. But now, she was here. Standing 10 feet away, looking at her son like she had been carrying this moment for 20 years. And the air in that room, she didn't speak to the crowd. She didn't make a scene. She just walked toward me slowly like the weight of every year she lost was in her steps. I didn't even know what to expect. Then she stopped in front of me, took my hand in both of hers, and said softly, I raised him wrong by leaving, but he became everything right without me. Please take care of each other. No drama. No excuses. Just truth. Then she stepped back and walked to the very last row. Sat alone, like she didn't deserve to be anywhere else. I stood frozen. The music had stopped. The officiant didn't speak. Even the air felt heavy. 200 people were holding their breath. And Marcus was still on his knees. Not because of emotion anymore, but because he physically couldn't stand yet. I walked the rest of that aisle alone, but something inside me had changed. It didn't feel like abandonment anymore. It felt like arrival. Like I wasn't walking away from my past. I was walking into my life. The ceremony after that wasn't perfect. It was real. Marcus cried during his vows. Not pretty tears. Not controlled emotion. The kind where your voice breaks halfway through a sentence and you have to stop just to breathe. He looked at me and said, "I know what it feels like when people decide you're not worth showing up for." He paused. His hands were shaking. Then he continued, "I will spend every single day of my life making sure you never feel that." A silence hit the room. Then a gasp. Someone in the third row covered their mouth. 3 of my bridesmaids were crying openly now. Even people I barely knew were emotional. One of Marcus's friends recorded everything from the moment the back door opened. That night, he posted it online. Caption: "This is what love actually looks like." By morning, it had 40,000 shares. By the end of the week, millions of views. People from different countries were watching it. Strangers commenting things like, "I call my brother after watching this. I forgave someone I hadn't spoken to in years. I watched it 3 times and cried every time." And then my parents saw it. My aunt told me later. My mother had watched the video, not knowing it was me. And when she realized, she sat down and didn't speak for an hour. She hasn't called me yet. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But I stopped waiting for it because I finally understood something important. Some people don't love you fully. They love you with conditions. And those conditions say everything about them. Not you. Marcus's mother stayed for the reception. They spoke for almost 2 hours in a quiet corner. I didn't ask what they talked about, because some healing doesn't need witnesses. What I do know is simple. My husband showed up. His mother showed up. And even strangers showed up for us in ways my own family couldn't. I walked down that aisle alone, but I've never once felt more supported in my entire life. And sometimes, the family that chooses you is louder than the one that walks away.